Welcome to yet another episode of Hydrology for People series. As you know, this is a initiative of National Institute of Hydrology to disseminate research outcomes of the institute. So today we have Dr. Jyoti Patil with us. She is Scientist G in Armor Division. Warm welcome to you, ma'am. Before going further, let's see the short video on this subject.
यूनाइटेड नेशन DRR रिपोर्ट के अनुसार भारत को जलवायु परिवर्तन के कारण हुई प्राकृतिक आपदाओं से वर्ष 1998 से 2017 के बीच की समयावधि के दौरान लगभग 8,000 करोड़ डॉलर की आर्थिक क्षति का सामना करना पड़ा है। राष्ट्रीय जल विज्ञान संस्थान द्वारा विश्व बैंक द्वारा वित्त पोषित योजना नीलांचल राष्ट्रीय जल ग्रहण परियोजना के अंतर्गत जलवायु परिवर्तन की संवेदनशीलता का आकलन करने हेतु छत्तीसगढ़ राज्य के जशपुर एवं कांकेर जिलों में जोखिम प्रबंधन मूल्यांकन हेतु शोध कार्य किए गए। इस तकनीक से क्षेत्र में जलवायु परिवर्तन के बढ़ते प्रभावों का आकलन कर भविष्य में इस समस्या के अनुकूलन हेतु एक बेहतर कार्य योजना बनाई जा सकती है।
So my first question is to you, ma'am, that what are the need to understand climate change?
The IPCC report, which was released in February 2022, it says that human-induced climate change is causing a dangerous and widespread natural dispersion. The increased heat, drought and floods have also exceeded the tolerance limit of plants and animals, and it also causing the adverse effects on our health, agriculture, or other natural resources. The people living in developing countries are more vulnerable to the climate change impacts. The climate change impacts due to increased frequency of the cyclones or floods and droughts. In the coming future, the climate refugees are expected to increase, and therefore we need to understand the climate change and its adverse effects on the region.
Ma'am, why is there a need to assess vulnerability in better water management policy formation?
See, due to ever increasing population, urbanization, and also increasing the water demands, the risk assessment is considered as a powerful tool for planning the mitigation and adaptation strategies in water challenge areas. And also the vulnerability assessment helps in prioritizing the mitigation adaptation strategies, and we can better plan the limited resources in optimal and efficient manner.
What is livelihood vulnerability index and how it will helpful to adaptation to climate change?
Yes, vulnerability is the degree to which the system is susceptible and it is unable to cope up with the adverse effects of climate change. The IPCC has defined the vulnerability. It is the composite function of the exposure, adaptive capacity, and the sensitivity to the climate change impacts. It helps us to identify or to know the hotspots of the vulnerable areas in the geographical regions such as aspirational districts or drought prone areas, and it helps planning and allocation of the resources.
So, ma'am, what is the meaning of vulnerable village or a vulnerable block?
The vulnerable means it is having high exposure and high sensitivity to the climate change adverse effects, and also it is having low adaptive capacity to the climate change impacts. So why it is vulnerable? Due to the low income diversification of the region, then low crop production of the people, then scarce water resources for the agriculture and other purposes, less health infrastructure for the humans as well as for the livestock of the farmers, and overall we can see there are less livelihood opportunities in the region. So all these reasons makes any block or village vulnerable to the climate change impacts.
How can the vulnerability assessment helps the policy planners to get adaptation to climate change?
It is found as a critical tool for development and mitigation planning of any region. The vulnerability assessment helps in suggesting the climate change adaptation and mitigation strategies in water challenge areas, and also we can suggest the sector specific water management strategies in a region. These measures can be implemented by state government and local bodies to reduce vulnerability of the region and also to enhance the adaptation capacity of the people. The vulnerability assessment is useful in efficient and optimal utilization of the funds, just like the programs of state wetland authorities, water bodies rejuvenation board or authorities, then state disaster management authorities. We can also see that the results of the vulnerability assessment can be useful for implementing the government initiated programs like Jal Jeevan Mission, Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana, or for implementing the state level index, that is Composite Water Management Index, which is developed by NITI Aayog, and also for the aspirational district program of the Government of India.
Thank you very much for coming in our show.
Thank you.
For feedback, you can mail us on hydrologyforpeople@gmail.com. We will meet on next episode. Till then, goodbye. Namaskar.
No.